Welcome, everyone, to another episode of IBC's Evil Safety Guys. This is your host, AJ Hanscom, being joined with Aaron Iacino, just two men training to take down the champ.
Again, not exactly accurate. I feel like I have to clarify the show.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's Evil Safety dudes, not guys.
Whatever.
And we're about...
If labels are so important to you.
Yeah, I mean, SoCal guy. I'm totally a dude, right? And
Right.
just can't help it. It's how I was raised. But anyway, all that aside, we're a show about how not to die at work.
I don't like dying at work.
No, nobody
Not
does.
something I'm okay with.
I've never met anybody that's like, I want to die at work.
I got dark fast.
It did, but it's a dark show. We've kept it humorous, but it's when you come down to it, there's still about 8,000 people in America dying on the clock every year.
I think we're down to like 5,000.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there any fact checkers out there? You need to email us.
2018 was the last big census. We were right around 5,000 deaths.
Is it still about 12 a day?
I mean, I'd have to get out a calculator.
Okay. Is there still one person dying every day from electrocution? Because that was in the intro to OSHA PowerPoint that we have to teach when we do 10s and 30s. That's the stuff in there.
Oof.
But I guess, it could change from year to year, but it's not too much. Basically, still way too many people dying than should.
It's still a show about how you not die at work.
Yeah, I tell people that you go to work to pay your bills, man. And I try not to put anybody down. I try to say it as positive as I can, but basically, our jobs aren't like to save the world to where you would want to be a martyr and sacrifice your life. Like you're just like building a house or building a new plant or
making cookies for a living.
Yeah, you're making a Twinkie. I mean, come on, like you're gonna die, so it's not worth your life.
Not worth it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what the show's about. This is number 3. We got a fancy subject. I know you're all dying to hear about. Super excited. You've been waiting for us to do a podcast on this topic for so long. It is finally here. The wait is over.
The suspense is killing me.
Dude, it's everybody's favorite topic.
What, ladders?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm obsessed with ladders. Just kidding.
I was being sarcastic, too, because when someone hires us to do a ladder class for them, everybody in the class rolls their eyes like, what can these guys teach me about a ladder?
Right.
But we ended up teaching them a ton about a ladder.
There's actually a surprising amount of stuff people learn about ladders in a ladder class.
That they don't know.
They had no idea.
That no one ever taught them.
We do have some fun cases to talk about today. Got some people who really bust themselves up on ladders. Some people who learned some surprising new things about ladders while using ladders. Stuff you think they should have known at the beginning.
Quick question, AJ.
Yes, sir.
By the way, my co-host, AJ Hanscom, he is an SSH, a safety specialist.
It's a specialist. In safety and health.
Not only in the construction industry, but also in the general industry.
My co-host, Aaron Iacino, you'd think he would be more knowledgeable on this subject because he is also a specialist in safety and health. Has that certification, so that's awesome. Both general industry and construction as well. Aaron, I thought you would have had that down better.
Yeah,
you just got too many certs, I think.
I got a lot of acronyms. I forget what they all mean, but
you're just alphabet soup at this point.
The podcast experts told us that we are supposed to tell people why they should listen to us, so we're supposed to tell them our credentials every show.
I mean, it makes sense. There's just too many credentials.
We'll just start making them up.
That's right.
I am a APYD.
Oh, what was that stand for?
I don't know. Give me some time.
Give this man a minute. He invented an acronym that didn't go anywhere yet.
Okay.
We'll come back to it.
But before we get into the regular flow of the show, just a quick question. When you're reviewing people's OSHA logs, how often do you see a ladder injury on that?
Yearly.
All the time, right?
Yeah. If it's a company that's regularly using ladders, you see a ladder injury yearly.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Twisted ankles, drop tools. Oh, man, I had to work a really gnarly case in 2018 where a guy was working under a ladder, and they left a power tool up on the top of the ladder.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Yep, he was walking underneath it, bumped it, heard a noise, looked up, and sees this hammer drill coming down off the top of the ladder toward him, and he sticks his hand out to catch it because his first thought was, man, this tool's expensive. So he sticks his hand out to catch it, and the tool smacks through his hand on its way to the ground. He does not catch the tool. And he has been struggling with rehabilitation and I think like 3 or 4 surgeries now to get his hand put back together.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
So I mean, I guess that's technically a
That's-
ladder
yeah,
injury.
Ladder related. I mean,
yeah, ladder related.
it's
for
so
sure.
broad.
I mean, on the log, do you record that as power tool struck hand?
Yeah, when falling off ladder.
Yeah, I guess. All right, another question for you.
All right, all right.
And don't you don't have to name names, but how many businesses do you know that do not have a ladder on premises?
I'm struggling to come up with a single
I
company
know.
I could think of that
can't
doesn't
either.
have a
I
ladder.
can't either. Like schools, they got ladders. Even us.
Even like fast food places
sure.
where it's not
Yeah.
even in use, but they just have one because a ladder is
Yeah.
handy to have.
I was looking at a museum yesterday.
Oh yeah, sure.
And they were putting up Christmas lights themselves, not contracted, and
Yeah.
they had employees on ladders.
Oh, they
I
want
was
to decorate. They got to clean.
Yeah. Even us, we're safety dudes.
Yeah.
But we work for an insurance agency, IBC, and even our insurance agency, we got a ladder.
There's 3 ladders here.
Well, in our
Well, yeah.
training center,
Well,
we
there's
got
2
a
here,
ton of
yeah.
ladders here, but even in
Yeah.
our office.
In the office, that's
We got-
right. We got one just sitting
yeah,
there,
so
just in
even-
case.
I bet you a bank has a ladder.
Oh shoot, everybody's got a ladder.
Everybody's got a ladder.
Everybody's got a ladder.
So this definitely applies to everybody. And all right, well, let's jump into it. But it's customary too that we find out what's going on in each other's lives. You guys may not know this, but AJ and I, we don't spend a lot of time together because we kind of divide and conquer. We're both kicking butt, taking names. It's rare that we do get a catch up. So
I know,
this is
it's nice.
our half hour little recording.
Yeah, sit
time.
down for a
So-
minute and be like, "Hey, what's up?"
So what's new with you?
So been doing the No Shave November,
Okay.
got a beard going, and
Yep, I see that.
yeah, it's all right. It's not bad.
That's
I'm
cool.
okay with the whole giant bearded woodsman thing.
Nice.
Other than that, I mean, not a ton. Lifting weights, driving cars. It's a good time. How about you? What's new with you, Mr. Aaron?
Normally I do a lot of COVID consulting all the time, but it's been increased lately with all the second wave, if you will, and the new proclamations. I've been having to help out, a lot of different people with that. That's been
Yeah.
kind of on the top of my list the last couple days.
Oh yeah.
All right, cool. Well, let's talk about a real life OSHA case. We'll strip out all the details where ladder was a main culprit and issue a citation. You got one on the top of your head?
How about the first one you and I ever worked together?
Okay, I remember that. It was out of town.
It was
went
out
to
of
the
town.
but it wasn't too far from Sioux City.
It was a bit of a drive. It wasn't too bad. I like drives though. No, that was an interesting case. You want to take the story on that one?
I'm trying to remember. I remember.
All right, I got it. Cause
Okay, go for it.
This one was. I remember being surprised. The guy was standing up on it's an extension ladder.
Okay,
Employee does not normally use a ladder,
it's coming back to me now.
and he was helping his employer lay plastic sheet insulation up in a warehouse.
Yep, and he was about 6 feet up, right?
He was on the 5'10" rung.
Okay,
so his
alright.
feet are only 5'10". That's not very high up. Like
No.
when you're standing just talking to a crowd of people and you put your hand right about eye level, that's not high. His feet were only that high. And then when you think about it though, so he's up there, he's pulling this plastic sheeting with one hand, and the other hand is kind of bracing him up on the wall. So he's pulling the sheeting away from the ladder, horizontally, sideways. And the plastic sheet tears in his grip.
Okay.
And then he starts to spill off to the right side of his ladder.
Force is an enemy of the people.
It's gravity sucks, man. You're not going to win in a fight. So yeah, the plastic sheeting tears. He falls, and as he's coming down, tumbling through the air, he collides with the ground on his elbow and lands square in his hip. Now, mind you, this was not a big guy. Not a big dude at all. And still, when he hit the ground, he shattered that elbow and actually broke his pelvis.
That's unfortunate. That's not sitting the heels overnight.
No, it was bad. He was real tore up, and that's not even that high of a fall.
No, and it was. Did the ladder slide off the wall, or did he just? fall
straight
off the
fell,
wall?
but then as
Okay.
he's falling, his feet kicked the ladder the other way away
Okay,
from him.
I gotcha. So yeah, it was a smackdown concrete floor.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I remember that one. And I remember it was a hospitalization,
Yeah.
and so I can't remember if they actually reported within 24 hours or if OSHA found out some other way. But I do remember OSHA came.
OSHA came right away.
I remember they called us,
Yeah, they did not take long to contact
We-
us, which
we-
was good.
rushed out there.
Yeah.
And we ran interference, did our OSHA citation advocacy, and helped them through the inspection. And Do you remember what the compliance officer was asking for in that case?
Man, they always start with the same basic things. Was this employee trained?
Yep.
Do you have a ladder policy?
Yep.
I mean, they just wanted to know the basics from their requirements.
I remember him really looking at that ladder very intently as well.
He did. There was one point where he was trying to point out whether or not this was a commercial use ladder.
Right. And he was looking at labels,
Yep.
looking for
Weight
damage.
ratings.
He
Yep.
was really, really doing a thorough ladder inspection. All right. Do you remember what citations came from that?
That was probably one of the weirdest things, honestly, for me. It was a real eye-opener. It was when he was with us in person, and he's going, all right, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like the story that got told, and he had all of these things kind of labeled out in our closing conference where he said that this was going to be what our violations probably were. And then I remember showing up in the mail later. Half the things that he had actually said weren't there, but new things had been added since they'd done their interview with the employee.
Definitely. I've come across that many, many, many times. I just worked one recently that's
Right.
still fresh, so I can't talk about it. It's still open.
Okay.
But yeah, that compliance officer, same thing. Because in the closing conference, I always ask, hey, what are you going to hit us with?
Right.
You know, I say it professional. but
Well,
basically,
that way you
what's
can start
coming down-
working. Yeah, you want to fix it ahead of time.
Yeah, say what's coming down the pipe, and they tell you a whole bunch of stuff, and then you get the citation, and that stuff's not there.
Right.
But what happens is they go back to their boss, who's maybe more knowledgeable, maybe doing it longer, and they go, that one won't stick. You really don't have a reg to back that up.
Yep.
But you do have this reg, and so it does change. so
Right.
that's common. So we abated that one.
Yep.
And
Got the ladder training done.
we did ladder training.
Got them their ladder policy created
Yep.
and written.
And then they fine tuned it and adopted it,
Yep.
and they paid money because
Well, yeah,
you
they
gotta
got
pay
signed.
money.
If I
You
take
got to
it,
pay
yeah.
the money too. You got to pay the piper, and that's one of my sales pitches, by the way.
Yeah.
People fuss at us when we do have to charge for something, training, policy development, consulting. That's a lot of money. I say, well, citations more. And the thing about it is, when you do get busted, if you get busted, you got to pay that money, and then you still got to pay the money to get that stuff done.
Right.
So you could have done it up front. and
Coulda
then
done it, yeah.
Not gotten the citation at all.
Right.
It's really cost savings to get compliant, but it's hard to show that return on investment to someone who's concerned about the money when I'm saying this is going to prevent stuff that hasn't happened. It's hard
Oh,
for
that's
them
for sure.
to see that future, oh, you're just pessimistic. Well,
But yeah, as safety guys, one of the things we lecture on the most is being proactive versus reactive.
yeah,
And that's when dollars are on the proactive side. I mean, you're looking at for sure dollars up front versus maybe dollars on the back.
right.
And that maybe there is what makes people, I think, hesitant. They're like, well, what if I don't get caught? Now I don't have to spend money.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a good case study. How about any OSHA updates? And it really doesn't have to be from this year, but since we're talking about ladders, what's the last ladder update OSHA did
Well, that would have been covered, I think, in a lot of the walking, working surface regs
for general industry?
for the general industry.
Yeah,
when
that
they
was
did that
the-
big update.
That's been what, 2-3 years?
2 years. I think it was implemented in 18.
And a lot of changes.
There were several changes.
They adopted basically the construction's personal fall arrest system rules into the general industry.
Honestly, and I've been kind of liking this, how the regs more and more are starting to match.
Yeah,
Like, you really got to dig through them with a fine-tooth comb to find a difference between updated regs from, like, general industry construction.
I mean, yeah, and
It's nice. There's
hard.
only one thing to remember now.
When they just finally adopted a confined space entry regulations for the construction industry,
Yeah.
I was like, where's anything new in here? Because
There
we
are
had
some
been
new
teaching, yeah, but it was hard. Like at first
Yeah.
glance, I'm looking at this rule and I'm like, this is the general industry rule.
It's basically,
I mean, I remember them saying when you go to a site, you have to do an assessment and find your spaces and have a list of them,
Right.
which is kind of different from a general industry plant that's built and fixed site. But
yeah,
so no, I agree with you. I like it that they match.
I do.
But on this walking working system, 1910, there was a lot of ladder rules.
There were ladder rules. There's some weird ones under the stairs. My favorite one that sticks out, just because I had to spend so long recreating the clip art for the one PowerPoint slide, but that little teeny rule that says if stairs lead up to a like a pad where a door opens, you got to have
Right.
22 inches of space.
I didn't know you updated that clip art.
Yeah, dude.
I need that in my PowerPoint.
Oh, yeah.
Because I still got the original picture. Then I got to say, well, this is updated. It's not actually this inches
Dude, I
anymore.
drew a whole picture. Like, it looks good.
That's cool.
So that's stairs, though. We're not doing stairs, but yeah, that was one of the big ones that was in there. Was they added an extra 2-inch gap there. However, have you seen the little requirement in there? It's talking about fixed ladders.
Are you talking about fall protection?
Yeah, the fall protection on 24-foot or taller fixed ladders.
So a fixed ladder, for those you don't know, is a ladder that's permanently affixed vertically to something. Predominantly, they're outsides of buildings, although they could be inside of buildings to hatches to roof access, or on vessels. And those would be a fixed ladder, not something you take down and put up, something permanently attached.
Something like bolted on.
So you're telling me if I got one on my building and it's 24 feet
Or greater.
or higher, what do I got to do?
So we used to have options. There was more options, and they've kind of narrowed it down. They've been a little bit more specific. So we used to be able to build cages, wells, and have vertical lifelines or self-retracting lifelines as options.
Yeah, there's those little track systems that go in the ladder
Mhm.
as well. It's kind of like a body belt, and you hook in.
You can hook in, and
and
then
it'll move up, but if you fall, it won't let you go
it'll
down.
stop you there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then your SRLs,
Right.
self-retracting.
Self-retractors.
Now the cages or wells, they got on the chopping block, did they?
They got slammed, man. They just looked at that and said, you know what? If people are falling vertically straight down, these are not assisting people in getting caught. They're just breaking limbs, and they're just kind of funneling people toward the bottom of the ladder. They're looking to be not really the fall protection that people need.
And I agree with that one. If you're 24 feet up,
Right.
and you fall,
Which typically you're not falling out away from the ladder. You're
You're
going straight
falling
down.
down. It's gravity, right?
Straight down.
so there's nothing under you.
No.
Nothing to catch you. But if you were to fall, we know from fall protection, when the average American male falls 6 feet, he generates 2,500 pounds of force.
Right.
So 2,500 pounds of force, sticking your arm through that flat metal,
Right.
like
Just that
carbon
reinforced.
steel,
Yeah.
quarter-inch,
Oof. It's just
ma-
going to snap you.
imagine getting your armpit in there.
Oof.
I mean, I don't know if it'd take it off. but
I don't know if it'd take it
It
off.
would
but
dislocate the joint.
holy
it might
smokes.
cut an artery. It would be a pretty catastrophic injury.
That would hurt.
So some say, well, yeah, well, you didn't hit the ground. But is there a safer way to do the whole thing? And you might still hit the ground. You might fall through that and then keep going. So,
I'm falling to my death. Oh, I broke my arm.
Yep.
And then you die.
yeah, I mean, it's insult to injury. So I agree. And then employees, they're mad, though, because
Oh, yeah.
they use those as working surfaces.
Oh, yeah. Well, you get up to your working height, and you want to stick your foot out on it, so you can kind of now face off the ladder where you want to face. And you use it as like a little work platform.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, cool. Switching gears real quick. Where are we recording today?
Oh, man, we actually moved our studio space is in use, so we made a makeshift studio in our training center.
So those of you who haven't visited us, we got a 100-person training center, state-of-the-art, super big warehouse, awesome TV. We could hang people from rafters, set up ladders, run scissorless boom lifts inside. We have fake confined space entry. I mean, we got a really cool training center. And right now it's a podcast studio.
Oh, super official.
All right, cool. All right, so yeah, a lot of updates on those ladders. Now,
Well, they took those cages and wells, and they made them no longer legal for use for fall protection. Now, just going off my crazy old brain here, I don't think they have to be torn down.
no,
I think they can be left in place, but they cannot be the thing that you have there for fall protection over 24 foot. So if your ladder is fixed and over 24 foot, you still got to put something in there.
my memory of the standard is that they do have to come down
Oh, no.
in a long time from now, though.
Well, yeah, they said that they cannot be used for fall protection as of November 2036. That's I mean, you got some time.
Yeah, and some people would go, why on earth, if it's such a safety issue, would they give people that much time? But it's consideration. I mean, I'm not going to name any plant names, but There's a lot of huge industrial plants in our area that I guarantee could have up to 1,000 fixed ladders. And if you had to take all those down and put a self-protecting lifeline or a ladder safety device on those, you're talking about super, super, super big chunk of change. So they're going to let people phase them out, and slowly over time get them all done. I also remember that you can't put one on right now if you're doing a new build. It has to be the new fall protection.
It's got to have some
systems.
sort of fall protection system.
Yeah.
That's
If it's
not
there,
a
it's
cage one.
grandfathered in till that deadline. But if you're building a new one, you can't put one on. So, all right, cool. Well, let's talk about some new safety gear. Let's try to keep it on topic with ladders today.
Let's do it.
What do you know of any cool new ladders you've seen?
So something I get asked all the time, and this comes up frequently. And if I go too far, why don't you let me know? But people ask me often, "Hey AJ, if I'm working on a job site, can I use, or if I'm working in the plant, can I use one of those crazy little giants?"
Okay, those
Or
all
one of these-
aluminum ones.
Yeah.
Like their transformer ladders.
Well, they've got so many now. They got those collapsible, like the whole thing turns into basically a suitcase, and then it all slides and clicks out. They got the little giant, which can fold up into any configuration. You can build scaffold out of it. You can use it as a ladder. Now, as far as new safety tech goes, they got some really neat stuff for working on them. But Aaron, are those legal for use in the general industry and construction?
So I get that question too, and I know in the regs it does say that you cannot use aluminum ladder when there's an electrical hazard.
Okay, if there's a chance the employee's work, or the ladder could contact electricity,
That would be bad.
that would not be good.
It's metal. It's conductive. It energizes the whole thing. Metal rugs, metal side rails. I know a lot of plants that do not allow their contractors to bring aluminum ladders on whatsoever.
Because there's just that chance.
Not an OSHA rule, but it's a site rule.
Okay.
I have seen that. But when it's neither, I do tell them it's okay as long as you're using it according to the manufacturer.
You got to follow all the manufacturer's regs. Remember that if ever anybody above you ever makes a rule, whether it be a plant rule, site rule, employer rule, manufacturer rule, OSHA enforces those rules as laws.
So, but they are pretty sweet. I own one myself, and I love it.
How about those top platform ladders?
Okay, yeah, those are super cool. Big fan of those. For those of you who don't know, some ladder manufacturers finally read some OSHA regs.
Yeah, you would think they would look into that, but
So the issue is, it is illegal to stand on that plastic cap on the top of an A-frame ladder. Sometimes we call them A-frames, sometimes we call them step ladders, but those are ladders that you actually have to open up and lock those arms. Those would be a step ladder or A-frame.
Okay.
It is illegal to stand on the top cap, and it's illegal to stand or sit at or above that very top step.
right. And so you got like two of them up there at the top you can't work on.
And it's like nobody knows this.
Well, you mean the giant sticker with huge warning letters? They don't like read and understand that?
Nobody reads signs and
Oh.
stickers.
All right.
It's one of the most violated regulations for ladders that I see is people standing on the top step and the top cap. And then when I bring it up to them, if it's an inspection or if it's in training, they ask a very legit question.
Yeah.
And I don't ever have a good answer. Maybe you've come up with one, but they always ask me, well, if I can't stand on this top step, why did they make it a step? I mean, it's exactly like all the other ones.
Right.
There's no difference in it. It's got tread. It's the exact same. And I said, that's a good question. We should call them and ask them because I don't, I didn't make it.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Maybe it's just easier to manufacture all steps and then just make everything a step instead of having to manufacture a special different step to go there.
I mean, I get that, but to me, it's like, making it easy to violate the regulation.
No, I agree with that. If you make it a step, people are going to step on it.
If it was somehow a different color, a different angle, a different material, if it had a bigger sticker, it would be more obvious. I think we can get some more compliance.
For sure.
And then I always get told, well, we do this all the time. I was like, I know, because I see you doing it all the time. But then I'm told, well, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
What do you say to that? Why can't I stand on the cap or the top step?
Oh man, for me, it's so easy at that point to just topple that ladder. you are so far beyond that ladder center of gravity that any twitch left or right, man, that thing is ready to go.
It's top heavy, right?
Super top heavy.
If you look, it tapers in like an A.
Yeah.
Either way you look at it, it obviously makes an A if you look at it from the side. But if you look at it as you're climbing up, it's wider on the base and narrow on the top, and it makes it easy to tip once you
Super
get your
easy
weight.
to tip.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of ladder injuries from that,
Yeah.
standing on the top step.
So what
or
I
cap.
think is cool is those ladders that have that designed out of the top. There's no
Yes.
top cap.
Yes.
There's no top step. They have eliminated both of those spots, and now where the second step is, it's just a platform. The guy
Big
can just work there.
platform.
Yeah,
Not a lame. I don't even know the inch width on those steps. 4 inches.
yeah, whatever.
But it's like a foot.
Yeah, it's like a platform.
It's a platform. And then instead of just the regular side rails, once you're in that platform, you're almost kind of like in a guardrail
Yeah,
ish.
it's nice.
Yeah.
I think it's way better to work on.
Yeah. And there's no top step and no cap.
Ooh, I wanted to tell you another story.
Okay.
So another big one that comes up for me often is people who want to go ahead and use single-sided ladders. They'll take
What is a single sided ladder?
they'll take an extension ladder, and they will go, I don't need 24 feet. What I do need though is two 14-foot
Do
sections,
they do that?
and they'll slide them apart.
Or does one break and they just keep the good part?
I think both happen.
Or both.
In
Okay.
this particular story, they forgot a second ladder, and they had one extension ladder, and 2 employees were going to share that ladder. So then here's what happened. One guy got the bottom half, which had feet.
That's not advisable.
Right, it's definitely not as structurally sound. It was designed to be supported by another half of that ladder. But the other guy got the top half of that ladder, which did not come with feet. It just had little plastic nubs on the bottom.
Yes.
So then he went ahead and set that up, and the way he told that story is just, it cracks me up, but at the same time, like, I can actually kind of feel it. He said he was at the top of the ladder working. And
Wasn't that high, right?
No, not that high. His feet, I think, were only 4 or 5 feet off the ground. Like, they were not that high. And he was up there working, and you ever been up on a ladder that kind of settles, and it has that immediate, like, jump factor where the whole thing feels like it shifts for just a second?
Okay.
So he said he felt that. And he looks down, and his whole body just twitches real quick. And he looks down, and the ladder's just falling straight away from him.
Sliding, like
Yeah, straight down.
the nubs on the ground
Are
were
sliding away.
back.
Yep.
And
And
then
that
what
top
was
rung
on the building is scraping down
straight
the
down.
edge.
And he said he's just suspended in midair watching the ladder go down, and he slowly starts
Ground's
to
getting closer and
tip
closer.
forward, and his hands are coming out. And when he finally hits the ground, man, it just blew up both of his hands. It exploded one of his elbows. And then when he gets to the doctor, he's actually hit the ground so hard, he's a big rock stuck clean in his forehead, and he's actually started to swell, and it looks like it's in his skull.
I thought he had a skull fracture.
Yeah, but it had swollen so much around it that it looked like his face was swallowing that rock. But thankfully, it didn't go through his skull.
And they couldn't fix those joints. They had to put replacement parts in.
Yeah, it was gnarly. It was really bad.
We had to interview him the next day in
Mhm.
the hospital.
In the
barely
hospital.
Out of anesthesia with a wife there.
He was funny though, like because of all that stuff they had in him, he was having a great time for a little while.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad interview, and he was open and honest, and we were able to do a good, quick, thorough investigation.
Right.
And we had to help them report that to OSHA because that was a
Mhm.
hospitalization.
Oh yeah, so they had to do it within the 24-hour window, man.
I can't remember how that one turned out, if we had to fight a citation for him or if OSHA let us do that internal audit.
They did an internal audit.
Okay.
We got to submit because we do their training, which was awesome. So we already had training on file, and we were a little grumpy. We were like, guys, we taught you better, and we turned in their paperwork, and it was just kind of over, which was nice.
Yeah, those,
having that
I
safety
like those
protection.
Internal audits.
Yep,
Yeah.
it just kind of goes away.
Yeah, that was a bad deal, and it's just not necessary. You put something on the ground that wasn't designed to support weight
Yeah.
with no grip.
No
Because
traction.
the regs are clear on that.
Yeah.
You got to have non-slip feet, right?
I got another quick question for you about
Okay.
extension ladders. This one comes up often, hopefully our listeners. So, Aaron, when am I required to put a extension ladder 3 foot over a ledge?
When I'm transferring onto that level.
But what if I'm not transferring onto the level and I just want my ladder up on the side of a building? Do I have to go 3 foot over?
No.
So you're telling me that the reg says that I have to just go ahead and have it supported, but I got to have it 3 foot over if I'm transferring. That's always good to note, and that one comes up often.
I saw that violated yesterday.
Ugh.
People transferring onto a roof. It's barely meeting that roof edge.
Doing that flop and then wiggle.
Yeah, it's scary. Well, I mean, apparently there was a lot to talk about on ladders because I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
even
man.
feel like we scratched the surface, and we're already at.
We'll be back
our
to
30
ladders.
minutes.
We'll be back.
And the listening, I was like, I feel like you've been talking for 4 hours, but to me, it's been like 5 minutes.
If you
We-
listen to Safety Guy's lecture, it feels like 4 hours.
We didn't even get to talk about.
Yeah.
most
Don't
of
listen
the
to this on
stuff.
road trips. It'll take twice as long.
But we thank you guys for joining in. We hope you learned something today
Heck yeah.
that could keep you alive at work or your employees alive at work. Please call or email if you got any questions. Thanks for tuning in. Any last remarks, AJ?
None that are obscene.